Hello everyone, welcome to my video. My name is Jose. I am a 3D artist and sculptor. Now, during my 3D modeling experience, I haven't really dabbled so much into like fluid simulations, but I like to keep myself pretty in the loop when it comes down to anything new and any way that I can be able to help improve my models, and also when it comes down to my scenes as I go on with my current career. Now, in this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to be able to create a water fountain within Blender. And the best way we're going to go ahead and get started is, if you haven't done so already, definitely want to go ahead and create the fountain that you're looking to have the water simulation go for. Now, once you have your actual model, then you're pretty much set to go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do here is, I already have a scene where I created the water simulation just to kind of show you like how it looks like and how it works. This is how it looks like without any kind of texture. And with texture, it's going to look a lot more nicer and a little bit more realistic. Now, since this is happening live, it does take a moment for my system for it to go ahead and start rendering out that entire image, but you get the idea. Now, going back to where I was at, we're going to go back into our object view, and we're going to just simply grab the model that I was using, which is our fountain. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that, paste, and we're going to turn this off. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and grab the camera and the sun, copy, go back to practice and paste. Perfect. The rest of it we'll go ahead and do from scratch. Let me also go real quickly into the fountain, and we're gonna go ahead and turn off the physics that we added on here, so that way I do it just like just from scratch. All right, so where was I? Cool. So here's our model. This is the fountain that I want to make it look like it has endless amount of water supply. So once we have our model into our scene, what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and add a couple of our objects. And so some of these objects are going to be that we're going to go to add, we're going to go to mesh. Oh, also make sure that you're under object mode. Don't be under edit. Don't want to have everything under one object. Anyways, go to add, mesh. We're gonna add a cube, a UV sphere, and a torus to help us out. And in addition to that, another cube. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our cube, we're gonna grab our mesh, UV sphere, and then we're gonna add the torus. Perfect. Now I'm gonna try to not necessarily go quickly in this video, but I don't want this video to be too long. So I'm gonna try to be as efficient as I can. So right here we have our square, we have our sphere, and we have our torus. So our square here, we're gonna go ahead and duplicate that once more, and we're gonna use that square as a drain platform. And then we have one more cube, and this one we're gonna go ahead and call it water sim bounty. We then have our sphere, and we're gonna go ahead and copy and paste another one. So we're gonna use another sphere. We're gonna name one of those water source. Then we're gonna use the second sphere as drain 01. And we're gonna do this one, the torus, as just what can we call this? Like, let's say water control. Perfect. I also have my light source ready, and in addition to that, my camera view. Now, if you want to get this second camera here, what you can do is you can go ahead and go right next to your window, right where it looks like you can be able to control the up and down movement for it. We're gonna right click, vertical split, and that's how you can be able to split it, so that way you have two different views. Okay. Now, in case you get multiple, you can also right click and just do join left, so that way the right window merges with the left, and now you have two. Now, going into your second workspace, we're going to go under view, cameras, and active camera. That's going to go ahead and basically put that back into view, so that way you can look off of the perspective of your renderer, in other words. Cool. So going back to what we were doing here, we're going to go ahead and grab the water sim bounty, And we're basically going to go ahead and scale this up to the size of our model. Now we want to give this enough size for it to actually fit the entire model as well as the objects we're going to put inside. And in addition to that, just basically take up the space that it mainly requires. We can go into wireframe mode, go to the x-axis, just go ahead and grab everything and drag that a little bit more towards the center, reframe, go back to the watersim bounty, gonna go ahead and expand that a little bit more, and let's go to the top view. All right, perfect. So that is within our bounty box, which is great. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and grab the water source, and since the water is gonna be starting from the top, we're gonna go ahead and start from the top. And as of right now, just so that we can kind of see how you have your water running, we're gonna go ahead and just leave the default size there. And we're gonna grab the second sphere, and this one here is the drain 01. We're gonna frame, and for me, what I've come across when I did the simulation is sometimes when the water goes down, it actually seeps in the model, and then it ends up like falling through the entire center, and then at the bottom, it ends up creating a puddle. So to eliminate that issue, I went ahead and created a sphere or a drain inside the model just to avoid it as close as I can to the water source. If you don't come across that issue, then you don't need that secondary sphere, but if you do, just keep that in mind. All right, perfect. And let's make sure that it's not visible. Even if it's visible, it's okay, because we have ways to get around that. Here, I'm gonna make that slightly smaller since we don't need it that big. And this is just literally me getting into how I like it. All right, perfect. Now we have one more box, and this one here, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go ahead and create the platform. So in case if the water does end up seeping through in a different area, then we can grab that, where is it at? Shoot, drain platform. We can grab it, and now anytime the water starts to collect down at the bottom, it will go ahead and kill those particles as well, which is going to be your water simulation. So in case if it overflows, it doesn't create a puddle. But if that's what you want, then you don't need that portion. I'm just going to go ahead and fix this. All right, perfect. There we go. We're almost there. And then finally, the torus. So this one, we named it water control. And the reason why we named it that is because anytime the water simulation is going to touch this object, it's going to go ahead and kill those water particles. And this is also going to help us control like where the water is going. Now, that center circumference is not the ideal size since it does overlap. Oh man, hold on, let's go ahead and turn off the boundary box. Since it does overlap that second container here, or the second level, I guess you can call it. So the way that we can do this is we're gonna go ahead and go into edit mode. We're gonna go along this edge here. We're gonna double click, select those two, and from the center, we're gonna go ahead and expand that section. Then we're gonna go, or actually, hold on, let's bring that in a little bit more so that it's not so flat. We're gonna hold shift, double click the top and bottom one. And this is how we're gonna go ahead and open up that center. So that way the water can go ahead and fall in a little bit more naturally. And you can feel free to do that as many times as needed. We're gonna do this one down here as well. Perfect. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and expand that again. Cool, I think we might do that once more. I'm gonna select that, the next edge. We're gonna do the same thing on this one, perfect. And we're gonna go ahead and keep expanding. Now, at some point, you can go ahead and just resize it. There we go. Go back to mesh. Perfect. So that's basically how I want my water level. Feel free to adjust that as you feel, as you see fit. But for the most part, this is okay for me. All right, so now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and mess around a little bit with the physics side of stuff. And so let's go ahead and get started with the domain, or in other words, the water sim bounty. We're gonna go over to the physics tab. We're gonna then select fluid type. We're gonna switch over to domain type. We're gonna select liquid. Resolution divisions, this here, I found it to be very helpful to keep it at an 80 when it comes down to actually doing the render of your simulation. I would recommend to do anywhere between 120 to 200. Now, the higher the resolution or the higher the divisions, the more time it does take. So during the time that you're kind of like testing out the waters, you're looking at like how to control the water source and everything like that, then, you know, as of right now, definitely keep it at 80. And then once you're ready, go ahead and increase it. Use your discretion when it comes down to the type of computer that you have. I currently have a 3080 Ti with 24 gigs. So then I know its limitations, and I know I can push it more, but just so that way you can be a little bit cautious with your type of machine and computer that you have. All right, perfect. So continuing forward, we have the water sim bounty, we have the fluid. We select the liquid. We're gonna keep the divisions up at 80. And let's see, yeah, that's pretty much it from what we're gonna do with the water sim bounty. Let's go ahead and turn that off. We're then gonna go over to the torus, or the water control. We're gonna select fluid and collision. And under fluid, or under collision, since that's gonna be the first option that we're gonna see here, we're gonna select kill particles. Let's go ahead and collapse this. Fluid, we're gonna do flow, we're gonna do liquid, outflow, because outflow, when it comes down to fluid, it's basically going to be draining your water out of your scene. So anytime the water particles come into contact with that object, it's going to remove it from your scene. And as you may expect, inflow would be used to go ahead and put water into your scene. And if you haven't guessed already, that's exactly what we're going to do with our sphere on top that we went ahead and named water source. Now, instead of doing the collision, we're only going to do fluid. We're going to do type, flow, liquid, inflow. Okay, so that's how we're going to have it. Now, that's mainly it for the water source. And now for the drain platform, which is this object down here, we're going to do fluid and collision. So we're going to go with collision, kill particles, fluid, we're going to select flow, liquid, outflow, same exact thing. Perfect. So we have the drain platform. We also got to do it for that second drain, or drain 1. Now, like mentioned, user discretion when it comes down to like how many drains you want to use within your object. This is just the one that I've used that helped me out. Domain, sorry, we're gonna do flow, liquid, outflow. Beautiful. All right, perfect. So we have all that there. Now, in your render camera, what you're gonna want to do is make sure you get your position correctly. And sorry, I forgot, where was I going with this? Okay, so we already set over the physics property on each one of our objects. For the sun, before I forget, I found it helpful to go to your light source, go to the data tab, and this is where you can go ahead and play around with it. The light source that I currently have right now at the moment is sun, color white, temperature is 6500 Kelvin, but I don't have it on, so you can leave it as is. Strength, I did do 5, and then from there, I guess another thing to be able to look at the actual like light play apart within your scene. Don't forget to put a plane, and you're basically just going to do this to make it be more like render ready. So we're going to go ahead and do that. That way it just looks like the water fountain is on a platform and not like floating. There we go. I'll make that a little bit bigger. Perfect. Set up your scene however you see fit. We're gonna go ahead and name this ground. All right, perfect. So we have all that set. So we're gonna go over to our water sim bounty. We're gonna go back to the physics tab. We have the divisions up at 80. We're gonna go ahead and scroll down, And before we create the simulation, or before we can play it, make sure you set the amount of frames of how long you want that water simulation from start to finish. This is going to be starting from the water source, going all the way down, and just kind of keeping that water going. So for me, I think I found anywhere between like 800 frames to 1500 frames to be a really nice number. Don't forget to also edit here on your timeline. And in case you don't have a timeline, earlier when I had showed you guys how to split the view of your windows, add another view, but you're gonna do a horizontal view. And over on the left, you're gonna get this type of icon or some type of icon here along the side. This is where you can actually switch that over to timeline. So that's the one that I did down here. So that way I can get that timeline. You can do a graph editor, but just for the sake that we're doing this simulation, we're gonna do timeline. All right, perfect. So going back, we're gonna switch over the frames to 800. We have that there. We have it under replay, and now let's see what we get. Oh, I also got the render view here, so let's go ahead and reset this. Press play, and there we go. Oh wait, I actually missed something. So the last thing that I forgot is go ahead and select your object, go to the physics property, go to fluid, collision, I believe it was. No, sorry, you don't need the collision, just keep fluid. Do type, effector, surface thickness. I found 0.5 to work really nice. Type is collision, so anytime that the water reacts with your object, it's gonna make it seem a little bit more realistic. So, oh, and you also may have seen how much water came out because of the size of the sphere. To be able to fix that, we're gonna go back to the water source. Let's go to wireframe, and we're gonna adjust the size. So the size of it actually controls how much water comes in. So just in case if you go really small, keep in mind that that can cause it not to actually bring out any kind of water. So feel free to adjust the size as you want to control the water source or how much water comes out. And just in case if you come across where, hey, the simulation isn't going correctly, or it's just nothing's working correctly, then I would also recommend just start a new scene. I know that might be a little bit annoying, but sometimes it is needed, especially if you try everything, you have everything correct, and for some reason it's just still not working. So just go ahead and recreate a new scene, redo these steps again, and then you should be okay from there. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and run the simulation. We're gonna press play, and let's see how much water is coming out. Okay, see, a little bit better. It's gonna go ahead and start filling up the first, second, and then the third level. Now, my main thing here is to basically see like how the water is reacting. We can go into the wire view mode, and we're gonna see all these tiny little blue dots. Those are the water particles. And as it fills up, it's gonna go ahead and start building together. Now, obviously this isn't something that's gonna make it look like a water fountain working on its own, where you have endless supplies because you can see all these additional objects. Fun fact, before you start rendering, you can actually turn off those objects so that way they're not viewed. And in addition to that, they will still interact with the particles the way you expect it to. So just feel free to just hide them from the camera. So that way, one, they're still gonna work the same way you need it to, but also they're out of view. So that way when you're actually rendering it, it's only gonna be the water. And as suspected, check it out. The water level is staying in a nice consistent spot. It looks like at around 400 frames, and it looks nice. I like it. Now, when you add the material to your water, because I don't think we already did that. No, we have not, because there's no material. We're gonna pause that for a moment. And to add the water material, we're gonna go over to the water sim bounty, which is the actual water. We're gonna select material. We're gonna go ahead and create a new one. New, and we're gonna name this water material. We're then gonna go over to the surface, and we're gonna do was it principal? No, it was glass, BSDF. We're gonna go to preview. We're gonna give this a moment for it to load. Looks like glass, which is okay, but we're gonna switch this over to fluid. Now we're gonna go to the color and just go ahead and feel free to find the color that you desire. There was one that I used that I don't remember the hex code, but just for the sake of it, we're gonna do this like baby bluish kind of color. Now this still does not look like water, so the way to make this look like water is we're gonna turn down the roughness all the way down to 0, so that way it looks a little bit more transparent. And then the IOR, we're gonna switch this over to 1.333. That is the IOR for liquid, or for water in this case. And as you're in the renderer view or shader view, you can now see it update there. Perfect. So once you have this here and you're happy with the results, what we can do now is we can go back down to frame 1. Oh, and also if you see this here, that's actually perfectly fine. This here is just going to be the color of the liquid, but the box disappears, so it doesn't necessarily matter. So anyhow, we're going to go back to the water sim bounty. We're going to go back over to physics, scroll all the way down. We're going to go back to the cache and go ahead and select a place of where to keep your cache files. So for example, I'm gonna go ahead and do a temporary one since this is just a quick learning video. New folder, we're gonna do practice 1, open, accept. So that's where that's gonna live. We have the amount of frames we want. From replay, we're gonna select all, and it's gonna go ahead and give you a bake all. Go ahead and let it run its course. It is gonna take some time. Once the baking is completed, then from there, you're gonna be good to go ahead and continue and render your video. Feel free to give it the effects that you need, especially when rendering. And oh, before rendering as well, this is actually a really good tip. Let's make our way over to the camera, or you can rename this to be main camera or render camera, whatever you prefer. We're gonna go over to renderer, render engine. I would recommend doing cycles, and from CPU, switch it over to GPU compute. From there, you can also go to render and change the max samples. I went ahead and selected 4K for my resolution. You can do 2K, HD, whatever resolution you're looking for. The higher the resolution, the more time it is gonna take. So just kind of keep that in mind. But once you have that there, you're gonna be good. You can also add some more denoise or anything else you wanna go ahead and adjust. So then from there, we're also gonna make our way down 1 tab to output. From output, you can control your frame rate, but this is also where you're gonna select what kind of output you're looking to do, whether they're actual images, JPEGs, PNGs, etc., or if we're looking to do a video, right? So then you just go over to the movie section and select video, do RGB for color, and then go ahead and select where you want to save that video before actually when it comes down to actually looking at the render. One of the things you can do is, once you have your camera view set the way you want it, go to renderer, select render image, and there you go. You should be able to see your first image or your first frame go ahead and render. Once you like that result, you can go ahead and exit out of this and go to renderer, and then feel free to go ahead and select render animation once your water simulation has been baked, okay? But other than that, that's the end of my video. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or would love to give me any kind of feedback, or if you have a better way of doing things, by all means, feel free to leave a like, a comment, and if you're interested, feel free to follow. But for the most part, I went ahead and wanted to do this video to show how to do the fountain and what was the way that I found on how to do it. I've seen many different videos referencing a lot of different things, but I felt like it took me a bit of some time to try to figure it out on my own, and I just figured this can be a very helpful type of video for these folks that just kind of want to, like, straight to the chase, like, hey, how do I do this? What are some things to keep a lookout for? And anything else that you may need some help with, or maybe you're a little uncertain about. But for the most part, thank you for watching. Have a great one, y'all. Bye-bye.